Hello everyone, this is Professor Kent and this is recording part 2 for your for module 12. So what we did is we did everything that we needed to do for AP setup, means vendor setup. Now what we wanted to do is we wanted to change this session date and we wanted to create some invoices. So if you haven't signed out yet, and we're going to show you how to change the date. So if you were here and you finished entering your opening balances, what you're going to do is you are going to close the company. Once you close the company, it's going to come with this. But then what we wanted to do it, we wanted to open it back so we don't need to load the files again. Our password is admin, and the date is going to be, we wanted to change it into February. So what we're going to do is we're going to change into February, and we are going to do 2802. So again, it is in ours, the book is done month, day, and a year, but we're doing month. We're doing a day, month, and a year. So a day, month, and a year, and I'm going to say okay, and we have everything that we have done so far. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go to our accounts payable. When we're going to accounts payable, and what we wanted to do is we wanted to go to our transactions. So we are going to go to accounts payable transactions, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a new batch. So in this case, we are going to do this is going to be our batch 3. So we already had a batch 1 and we have a batch 2. We posted it, everything is done. We are going to create a new batch. We're going to say new, and this is the batch number 3. Batch number 3 is going to be invoices. So what we're doing is now we're ready to do the invoices for the month of February, February 15th. So 15 2021. So that's what we are going to do. So now when we're doing an invoices, we want our entry number 1. What we're going to do is we purchase something from who are the name of the vendor is Cramden Tool and Die. So the name of the vendor that we're doing is Cramden. So the name of the vendor is Cramden Tool Die. We needed to find out what the number for that vendor is. So something happened. So the number for the vendor is, we are looking for is Cramden as the first one. So that's the first one, and then it is a type is an invoice. The date of the invoice is February 2nd. So make sure your date is right. So you tab it over, and once you tab it over, it's looking for the document number, which is your invoice number 3928. And then what we're looking for is, there's no PO number. What we have is we have a document total. Document total is the 3667.22. That's the document total. So the amount of our invoice. So in other words, we have the amount on our invoice amount is 3245.33. In this case, what we have is we have the base amount, which is the amount before taxes. So that's what it is. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go to the taxes. When you go to the taxes, what you wanted to do is, first what we're doing is the taxes amount. In the taxes amount, we have 42189. So that was our tax amount. So now it already calculated. Now at this point, we want the system to calculate the taxes for us. The next we're going to do is term. Term is 210. If you pay within 10 days, you are going to get a 10% discount, 2% discount if you pay within 10 days. Optional field, we are going to leave it. There's no optional field. We're going to go to the total and we're going to look at it. Did our entry balance. So in order for us to look at the balance, we have the invoice total. we want to know if this balance, so the document total is 367.22. If I go to the first page, I don't want you, not I don't want, you shouldn't see any undistributed amount. If you see some undistributed amount, that means you made a mistake with the taxes. So in this case, where document total was 3667.22, and if I go to my total, that is your document total. And then what is that made out of? That made out of your invoice amount plus your taxes equal to your document total. So that is your first one. And what we're going to do is we are going to add. In this case, we are going to add in order to save it to go to the next one. So let's go to the document. I'm going to go here. This is our first entry, and I'm going to add it. And then we're going to do is the second entry in this batch. Don't change the batch number. We're changing the entry. Our next entry is for we purchased it from the Office Depot, and that is called invoice 8577. That's where we purchased it from, invoice Depot. So who is the vendor in this case? We're going to look for the Office Depot. And what is the invoice number? The vendor number is 1020. What was the document date? The document date was February 2nd. You tab it over to select the document number, or the invoice number is 8577. Then what we are going to do is the document total is the invoice 446.85. So that's what 446. So in this case, sorry, 446.85. And then the distribution code is 100. Office 100. And then what we're going to do is this, in this case, the amount is 395.44. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to, now if you look at it, we do have a undistributed amount here. So now we're going to go where we're going to go to. We are going to go to the taxes. When you go to the taxes, the system should automatically calculate the taxes. So, and the term is net 30. So there is no discount. So if I go to my totals, we have, what we have is we have a subtotal amount is 395, or it just is 51. It gives you a total of 446.85. And if I want to go back to my first document account, it should balance. There shouldn't be any undistributed amount. So once we did that, that's our second entry. We're going to add it. So we're going to add it, and then it will go to your third entry. Third entry is we bought something from Maynard. We bought an insurance policy from Maynard Insurance. And then it is for invoice number. Invoice number is 93761. So what we're going to do is look for the vendor. We're looking for Maynard Insurance. That's our vendor. The date that the date is February 5th. So we are going to select that date, move it, and then what we are going to do is document total. Document number is your invoice number 93761. So that's your invoice number. So we're going to go to the document total. In this case, the total is 6500. And what we need to do is we wanted to, in this case, we should be charging it to insurance 100 and insurance 200. So there's a split between this. So let's do that. Our document total is 11122.57. Our first one is insurance 100, and what the amount for that is 6500. Then you tap it over to the next line. If it doesn't go to the next line, you have to do insert. So the next one is you're going to double click to find your next one, which is 200, insurance 200. That's for your mechanical division, and the amount for that is your 4092.92, and that's the, then we're going to go to then you're going to go to your taxes. Under the taxes, we have two things. We wanted to make sure there's a BC, and when you're doing a BC, what happens is the 529, and there is no, we don't want them to charge PST. If there's no charges on the PST, there shouldn't be no taxes on that. If that means you could do non-taxable, so select it. If you do it, that it automatically is saying you're changing it, because you wanted to change it. Yes, you said close because system is telling you that. So when we go to my turn should be your installment, which we do have that installment. Tax one should be, all right. So if I want to go back, your tax B should, your PST should be 2, so it's exempt. So in this case, what we wanted to go to total. So we have your discounted subtotal is your net of taxes 1059.92. That's my taxes. Altogether is that amount. So now I've done everything what I needed to do. If you have look at it before you add it, you make sure there's no undistributed amount. So in this case, we add it. So in this case, we added it. Now what we needed to do is next entry. Next entry is for our Bell Canada, and it is for invoice 021523. And then what the vendor number is, we're going to look for the Bell Canada, who the vendor is. You're going to select that vendor, and once you select it, we needed to see the invoice number. The invoice number is February 15, so that is already there. Document total is, okay, it will be 21523. So that's the invoice document number, which is the invoice number, and the document total is your 153.88, and that is for your in this case we notice. So in this case, telephone 100 is distributor. So if it 100 is distributor, what we wanted to do is we wanted to charge it to 2 different accounts. So even though it's this one, so what we are going to do is we are going to do something different. In this case, we are going to go to our next one. In this case, this is distributed to 2 different places. So when it means is anytime you use that, before I come back here, I wanted to just go to the taxes. Under the taxes, we are going to have an HST, and it's going to be 1. So now what we wanted to do it here, we wanted to create a distribution button. And how do we create a distribution button? In this case, when you're in the document, the distribution amount is, I wanted to say the distribution amount is 136.88. So that's the distribution amount. So this is what we wanted to create it. So if I go to the right side, and there's a button called create a distribution. So my document total is 153, per our distribution total. Our distribution total is 136. If I go to create, it will tell you where you want to put it. Now we already done this before when we did our allocation batch. We already set to split to these 2 places. So which is we wanted to distribute 70% to your first 70% to your telephone. The second one was to the advertising expense. So we already did this. So that's what this percentage was set up in telephone distribution set. So distribution set was done in order for to do that. Now if you look at it, my entry doesn't balance. There something I did wrong in this case. Yes, I did. It should be at 136.18. So that's why you see at the bottom I had an undistributed amount. When I did that, you have to click it again to, now if you look at it, if you click it again, it's going to do it again. So we don't want it to do it again. So in this case, what we wanted to do is I wanted to you could even delete it. So in this case, I'm going to delete that line. Delete the line, yes, because if you do it one more time, I should have just updated it, and now I have 2 of them. So in this case, if you click that by mistake, what you're going to do is it's going to double, the entry is going to be distributed twice, but you could delete it by going to that line. So we don't, it automatically does as soon as we do this. So we only have to do it once and then not two times. So in this case, we go to our total. Let's go to our total. Our total account is 136.18 and our taxes is 170, and altogether our total is 153. So what we're going to do is we are going to go, I always go to the first page because I wanted to see the undistributed amount, and what we're going to go do is we're going to add it. Now we're going to go to number 5. Our number 5 is my Kingsway. In this way it is the name of the vendor is Kingsway Transit. In this case it's a Kingsway Transit, and then what we are doing is we're paying is for an invoice, invoice 712-36582. That's the transit number. Vendor, we are going to look for that vendor. In this case we have a vendor which is 2000, that's Kingsway Transit. We selected, the date was February 15, so we're going to select the date for February 15. Our document total there is 5087.54. And then what we're going to do is we have a GL account is already selected for us. We wanted to make sure it is the right account, and we are going to go to the left side, and the amount is 48. I'm just going to go to the amount. It is 4845.28. And what we wanted to do is now there is a distribution amount. Of course there's a distribution amount, so we're going to go to your taxes. So that's where you're going to go to your taxes. So I go to the taxes. I have a difference of your tax GST amount. This is in Alberta. This company was in Alberta, so if I were to do that, the amount is 242.6. that's the amount, and term is 30 days. There means that they don't get any discount. I go to the total, and it should look like what is step 27. It does look like that, so I am done with that. Now again, what I'm going to do is I always come to my first tab because I don't want any undistributed amount. Once I have done it, now it will say, now in this case what happens is that when we try to add it, we're supposed to get an error message. So in this case they said document number cannot be blank. So in this case we don't have a document number, so let's go back and see what the document number is. And then I'm going to first do a document number. So let's do a document number because I skipped that document number. It is 712-36582. So I did that document number. So if I add it now, it will give you the add. We add it now. Now what happens is that now what we did is we just did, if I do a previous, we have done it this, but if I wanted to create a prepayment for this invoice, I have to save the entry first before I could I have to save the entry first before I could create a prepayment. So if this was my invoice and I wanted to create a prepayment amount, so what you have to do is you have to go back. So in other words, you can create a prepayment on the last. I needed to create a prepayment for the Kingsway. So how do I create the prepayment amount? In this case I'm going to create entry number 5 for the prepayment amount. What we wanted to do is we wanted to do a prepayment. So in this case what you're going to do is you have a, if you look at it, if you click on the prepay button at the bottom, what we're going to do is when you click on it, it automatically goes down to the next entry. So in this case, you will see it, it will automatically go to the next entry. So if I say prepayment, it will create another entry. In this case, it will create another entry. In this case, what is doing it is creating a new batch. It's asking you, you want to create a new batch for the prepayment? Yes, because that's a payment batch. What I wanted to do is I wanted to create this batch. How you're going to do it? You're going to click on new. That's what I'm going to do. And what is that's going to be called? It's going to be called the prepayment. In this case, prepayment, and it is for which month? For February 15. So we could do an invoice and we could do a payment at the same time, even though we haven't posted the invoice, but we could still do the prepayments. In this case, the date is February 15. So let's accept the date February 15. We're going to pay by check. The payment date, so in this case, the batch date. So that was our batch date. And what we're doing is we're doing the changing the payment date. Payment date will be 15. I move it forward. Now what we wanted to do is you want the entry description. You wanted to know what this payment is for. So we're going to say Kingsway Transit, and we are going to say it is for a transit prepayment. That was for the prepayment. And what invoice, because we needed to connect it to the invoice. So in this case, it was the last invoice we had with them. That's what we're making a prepayment, 712, and it's 36582. It is exercise 1210 if you're following a book. And we needed to know what check number that we wanted to give this and we have to tell them what amount. We're not paying the whole amount. What we wanted to do is we only wanted to pay $2,500. So that will be our payment amount. Now the other thing we needed to do is we needed to do a check number. So in this case, if you don't want to print the check, we needed to do the check number. So if you have it, click here. That means you wanted to print the check, but this check we were doing it manually, and I wanted to change the check number to 1247. So in this case, I'm going to change it to 1247 because that's the check number is, because I don't want to print it. It is already it's handwritten check. So once I've done that, now what I wanted to do is I wanted to add it. In this case, if you add it now, we're going to close this and you will be returned to this one. So if I zoom now, if I were to zoom this entry, zoom button, and this here, sorry, close. I wanted to zoom in the where on the batch number. In this case, I wanted to zoom where the batch is. So you can zoom at different places if I wanted to do it in here. So it's telling me, what does it tell me? That I have 5 transactions and that's the amount. So this is what they want to, you wanted to make sure you have these right numbers. So it is the right number, and I'm going to close it. And then what we're going to do is we are going to create a new invoice batch. And what I wanted to do is we wanted to close it here. Once we close it, that's batch number 3. Now I'm going to create another batch. It will be a new batch. Let's do that. I'm going to say create new, and that will be our batch number 4. And that batch number 4, we are going to do the following transactions. In this case, we wanted to call this batch an invoice batch, and we wanted to call this batch invoices. We're entering invoices for the month of February, for the date is 28. So February 28, 20, no, not 8, 20, 18, 2021. So that's the date we're using. In this case, who are we buying this, who are we bought this stuff from? In this case, the vendor is Bell Canada. Canada, and then it is for 21823, and then we wanted to find that vendor is 1080 is the vendor. Bell Canada, that's my vendor, and then it is the invoice. The document date is February 18, so let's do February 18, tab it over to select it. Now what we need is the invoice number. In this case, the invoice number is 021823, and then our document total here is $140. No, 124, no, sorry, 140.79. so that's the amount per our distribution amount. They told us the distribution amount goes to distribution set. Here is 200. We select it, and once we select it, what we wanted to do is 124.59. so we wanted to know, in this case we create a one time, so it's only selected one time, so it automatically does it. We go to the taxes. Under the taxes is Ontario government, and we know that it's the taxes. So in this case the tax amount is that. If I go to my terms are 15. We're going to pay within 15 days. And then now what we have to do is we have to go to the total. We wanted to know if it's the same. Yes, we are same. They both are same. So in this case 140.79 is that. So I am going to go to the first one. I wanted to make sure where the numbers are going. So we're only distributing before the taxes. We're not distributing that. So now I'm going to do entry number 2 and 3, and that is for our British Columbia people. And remember, we British Columbia people, we only have a GST for them. So let's add it for this one. Now I'm going to add it. My second entry is for West Metal, and it is for the invoice Z55529. So that's for that. And then we needed to know which one is our vendor. In this case our vendor is West Metal, so we will select it. And then what we are going to do is, what is the date? The date is 12, so we are going to select 12, tab it over. Our invoice document number is your invoice number. In this case it is Z55529, so that's the number. So our document total is your 8691.23. and then what we're going to do is we go tab it over. In this case what we have is we have the amount. The amount is before taxes, 8277.23. and then what you will look at it is we are going to go to your taxes. When you go to the taxes, we only have a GST for Alberta, so that's the Alberta company. And what we have is the floor amount is 41387, but I have 86. Maybe I entered the first number incorrect. 8691238273. I did this incorrect. Sometimes we can all make mistakes. In this case 8277.36. so I always wanted to make sure that I am I go back and see if I did everything what I supposed to do right, because my document total should be 0. So it's still not 0 because it's not selecting, because I need to go back and calculate it again. So 8277.36. It's not doing okay. I can go one more time. I think something is not working out. So sorry, I'm changing it the wrong way. I supposed to change the amount 8277.36. You can say that I am having a long day today. So I go to my taxes. It is 41387, which is okay. Now everything balanced the way it's supposed to balance. I'm going to come back here and see if I don't have any undistributed amount. And the term was 210 net 30, which we do have it. I'm going to go to the first and then I add it. Now my next one is I'm selling it to Nagel Corporation. Sorry, International, and it is for invoice number 248766824. So what we're going to do is we have to look for that vendor. In this case, the vendor is here. We select it. The date is February 17, and we invoice total invoice number is 248766824. And then we're going to go to the invoice total. That is your document total. That is 2500, 2500, not 25,000, 2500. And then I go to my amount, and the amount before it just is 2500 too. The reason for that is that this is the US company. US, they are tax exempt. If they're tax exempt, there shouldn't be any taxes, but the term is their tax exempt term is we wanted to change the term for this one. We are going to change it to 30, net 30, and I select it. So in this case, I have done that. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to still come back to the first page to see if I did everything right. We're going to add it. Then we're going to do the next one. Next one is our Kingsway Transit. And we're paying for 712327258. And we have to select a vendor. In this case, it's a Kingsway. Let's do that. Kingsway vendor 2000, and it is what date we're doing it, February 18. And then we have a document number, which is your 712327258. So that's the invoice. Now what we need is the document total. Our document total is the document total number is 60944, 609.44. And then what we needed to do is we needed to split it between the two accounts, 100 and 200. In this case, you needed to go to the left to see your first account. Our first account is your in this case the we have a PO number I forgot, which was 122. Our first GL account is 65,200, and that is the amount for that is your the amount is 354.42, and you tab it over. If it doesn't go, you have to use the insert button to go to the next line. When you go to the next line, what you're going to do is select your 100. In this case 65, you have to go to 65 6015, and it's a 100. We select it, and then how much is it for that? It is 226 is the amount for that. So you make sure you have a 100 first or 200 first, but I had a 100 first, so just wanted to make sure that you have the right amounts for each one. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the taxes. when we have a tax amount, it's an Alberta taxes, and we only have it just a GST for them, and then GST amount should be $29.03, and terms are net 30. We're okay. Go to the last one to see if your document balance, and then come back to the first page to see what the numbers are. And then what I'm going to do is, in this case, I'm going to add it. Once you click on the add it, now what we wanted to do is, I wanted to see if the numbers that I did is right. You click on the zoom button. If you look at it on exercise 1210, step number 45, that's the balance we have. So what we're going to do is, we're going to close it, and I'm going to close the invoice batch. So in other words, we wanted to close the invoice batch too, so I'm going to close it. So now when we come back with the invoice listing report. So in this case, we have a invoice listing. So these are the invoices we did. So now what we wanted to do is, you could always double check and see what is in there by printing the reports. And again, you have to print these ones before you have to print it before you could post it. So I'm going to print it. When you print it, it should come up with a report. And I said, so now when you get this message, you don't want to print it. So I'm going to close it because I forgot to change the preview of my print destination. It should be a preview, and make sure that's the first thing you should do, but sometimes we forget. But if you forget, that's okay. We can always come back and then fix it. So in this case, I wanted to print it, and in this case, we wanted to do the both. We wanted to print, and I'll say print it. So when you print it, it shows up as a PDF. And once we print it, we wanted to print both of them before we could post them. So let's do that. So these are all the transactions that we did. So I am going to close it, and then I am going to close it here, and then I am going to print this one too, because it's print, ready to post, and post. And I'm going to go to the next batch that we did. These are my batches. So I can close it. Now I'm going to close this, and I'm going to make it ready. Yes, I'm going to make it ready. Once you make it ready, what you're going to do is, you're going to post all, or you can do post each one. So either one you could do it. So I'm going to do post all. So it is done. So all the batches are posted now. So all the batches are posted now. If you look at it, all the 4 batches are posted. You're going to close it, and then what we have done is, we're done with all the, and then print the reports that you needed to put. Now what we wanted to do is, now we're entering the last. We are going to do the credit memo, debit memo, and the interest invoice. So we could have a debit memo, you could have a credit memo, or you could have an interest. So again, this is going to be done in if something is returned, you should do a return the item. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna click on the new, and this is our batch number 5. Our batch number 5, we wanted to call it, in this case, it's a new batch, and we wanted to call it credit note. So we are gonna call them as a credit note. In this case, you're gonna who are you returning it to? In this case, the date of the batch is 28, so which is the right. Our first entry is, we're returning something to West Metal. So we are returning something to West Metal products. That's the name of the vendor that we are returning to, and it's a credit note. CR is a credit note, and the credit note number is 5263. So 5263 is our credit note. So who is the vendor? In case West Metal is our vendor, so we select it. In this case, we know the date. When are we doing it? In this case, we already have that. We are now we, instead of an invoice, we're going to have a credit note. So in the credit note is we needed to apply the credit note to somewhere, some invoice. In this case, what we're going to do is we are going to go to the date, and then our date is February 10th. So that's the date we are going to do. We are going to go to the document number. Document number is your credit note, and the number of that credit note is 5263. So that's the credit amount. Now in this case, you could have a debit amount or you could have a credit amount. Now what we're going to do is the type. What are we in other words, what are we returning? So that will be $210 worth of goods that we are returning. So in this case, the distribution code is the same, which is okay. Now what we wanted to do is the amount. The amount for this is of course there's probably taxes on it, 210. Now what we wanted to do is we wanted to go to the taxes. Under the taxes, there should be $10 for the GST, which we are right. In this case, it's a total is that. So you have we have everything right. So in this case, if you go to the page page, and then what we wanted to do is we wanted to add it, and we wanted to show this as a minus entry instead of a positive entry. But I'm going to go to the first one. There's no undistributed amount, so I'm going to add it. Now I wanted to see if that's what it is as a minus. So if you have a credit note, it will be sitting as a minus. If you're putting in an invoice, it'll be a positive number. So in this case, that's what we wanted to do. Now what we want to do is we want to process the batch listing, and we're done with the credit notes. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a recurring transaction after that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to print we're going to close it. In this case, if they'll tell you batch type is listed, batch status is open, and then we can't make any changes here. So in this case, what we're going to do is we are going to close it, and we're going to close the invoice here in invoice batch. So now what we wanted to do is we wanted to post this credit note. So in this case, what we're going to do is we are going to post this. What we wanted to do is we wanted to post it here. Before we post it, we have to print it, print the batch. So I'm going to print it. Okay. Again, you're supposed to save it. Once you print it, it's only one, and it is the accounts payable. So in this case, we close that. I'm going to make it ready to post, and I'm going to post it, and I'm going to close. At this point, I wanted to go somewhere. Where I'm going to go to your GL, and I'm going to show you under batch list. That batch is also there. And then if you wanted to see it, I'm going to double click it to see your balance. In this case, $210 balance is here. Don't post it. We just wanted to show you, leave it in there. We're going to ask you to post all these things, all these batches in your module 15th. We're going to show you how to do that. Now what we want to do is we wanted to create a recurring transaction. So in order for us to do a recurring transaction, we have to go back to accounts payable. We have to go to accounts payable batch, and what we're going to do is we wanted to create a recurring transaction. In other words, we wanted to create a recurring. So how are we going to do that? You are going to go to your vendors, and we wanted to create a recurring payable. And who we wanted to do that, the book is telling you, the module is telling you. In this case, we wanted to create a recurring transaction, and in this case, what you're going to do is you're going to type. If you were to do that, we will have to type. In this case, it's office supplies. We are creating a payable code is your office supplies. P-L-I-E-S, supplies. So what we're going to do is we are creating it, and the vendor is asking for which vendor. In this case, we are going to do it for 1020 in this camp run, because we might be doing a lot of business with them. And then what we are going to do is type the, when you're looking at the description of, now the description becomes available. Description will be your office supplies. Sorry. So then once we have done that, we wanted to do it, we wanted to know when we, how many times we are going to do this. In this case, if you do a schedule is your monthly, so in this case it is a monthly. So if I wanted to, you could zoom. So if you look at it, there's zoom the here. So when you do it, it tells you this comes up when you put it. And then what we wanted to do is you, when they started here, we wanted to start by in the next month in the 28th. So we're going to select that date, and what we're doing is we wanted to bypass everything. And then what we're going to do is with the expiration, what we're going to do is you click on the drop down window beside the expiration date. We wanted to know when should we end, when should this be end. So what we're doing is you could I'm just gonna, it's already done. We could save it, but it's just when we add it, automatically kind of saves the thing. So we could save it too, and we could close it. Now if you look at it, this is the when you're looking at it, this is the monthly. So the monthly date, they want you to start a date by February 28th. We have it. So the next invoice is that. Expiration date, we don't want to, if you could check the, there's no expiry, you could do a specific date or any other date. So in this case, there is no expiration date. So, and what we're going to do is we're going to select everything, and what we're going to under the, we're going to go under the description field. So no expiration date. The account, we're going to select it the way it is. So what we wanted to do is we're going to type here is the monthly office supplies. So that's the monthly, and then we are going to accept the 30 days. In this case, we have to select the 30 days. And then what we wanted to do is we wanted to click on the detail in the detail tab. When you do that, you have this message comes up, and it says 000, which we are okay with it. We are going to go to the tax and total tab, and if you look at it, the vendor class HST tax authority will be 1, which we did that. So everything is the one the way we done it. So what we're going to do is we are going to add it. I always come back here to see it. You could add it at this place. Once you add it, you have to close it. Now what we want to do is we wanted to view the vendor activity, what we just did. So how do we view it? Double click it, and then go to I think the vendor week was 2020. So let's go to 2020. That's what we selected. That's the vendor activity. In this case, if you look at it, mine is a little bit different. 31586, everything else is exactly the same. So in this case, it should be everything is exactly the right. The only thing is I don't have a credit limit. That should be done in the vendor under the vendors. So I didn't do that under the groups. So I'm gonna close this. This is right, because this should be, credit limit should be $10,000. That's okay. I could always go and put it in for the for that vendor. So in this case, 2020 was select, and I could always add it under the processing. Under the credit limit should be 10,000. Sometimes when you're doing it, sometimes we forget these little details. So you wanted to come back, if you see a mistake, you wanted to come back and do it. Now what we're doing is we could also do quite a few things here. When you're looking at the activity report, in this case, when you double click it, what you're going to do is there's quite a few things we could do. Is we could do the when you're doing the activity, you can look at under the information. So we'll be looking, we can look a lot of things here. So this is just the activity. So for each vendors, what we wanted to do is you can run a different type of activities when you do that. So let's do it for one particular vendor. So you have to look at a particular vendor. In this case, we're looking for an activity for this, only this vendor. So this one was showing. So if you look at, you can also go under aging. You can also do transactions that we did. You can also look at the payments they did. So this is something you could view. This is for your reference as a management. That's for your reference. So now what we're going to do is we can click on the payments, and that tells you how many payments they made and how many payments are now made. So now what we're going to do is you can select as many vendors to do that. So if I wanted to do it a different vendor, I can always select this one, and then you could just go on changing to what is going on with that particular vendor. So now we're done with the lesson. I close it. Of course, you have to dump your files. Make sure do the backup before you do anything. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to dump the files before I could do that. I did not create a folder, so I'm going to create a folder first before I could do that. And I wanted to call this lesson 12B in this case, because not shortcut. I don't want to create a shortcut. So I wanted to create a new vendor, a new folder, and that new folder will be for my lesson 12, and I wanted to call it part B, because this lesson was done in two parts. So I'm going to do a lesson B. So now we have it there. Where is my lesson B? It's right there. So I'm going to close it, and what we needed to do is we wanted to dump our files. We dump it. Where do we dump it? Dump it into our folder that I just created. In this case, it will be on the desktop and part B, and I said that dump it. So make sure you're dumping both data and system files. I keep saying it over and over again, but sometimes we make mistakes, so don't make the mistake. So we dump that too. Okay, so we did the system and the both files. So thank you so much for listening to me. Do make a comment at the bottom of this video if you have any question or any comments. Thank you so much for listening to me. Take care and bye for now.